Today is Thursday, June the 19th, 2014. I just left Lumpkin, Georgia. I just been informed that a Lumpkin City Councilwoman, Stone, referred to the mayor of that city, Mayor Gibson, as a nigger. I could say the N-word, but the people in Lumpkin are so upset. They say we shouldn't use the word N, but we need to call it for what it is. The next video I recorded in Lumpkin. I was called yesterday afternoon, and of course this morning I journeyed over to this little small town. And I thought that I would stop by former President Jimmy Carter National Historic Site, since he was a man who tried to do what was right when he was in the Oval Office of the United States of America. And it amazes me how our current governor, those who are in power today, including Eric Holder's of Justice Department and others, this by no means exclude the civil rights organizations, who have been informed that newly elected black mayors in the state of Georgia are suffering, thereby weakening the individual votes here in the state of Georgia when people vote for the candidate of their choosing in terms of who they want to represent them. So President Carter, little peanut farmer, stood for what was right. And just maybe if he was the governor of the state of Georgia again, maybe he would draw attention to what is happening in these little small country cities in the state of Georgia. I'm asking you to sit back and watch this video. Listen to the people and listen to the mayor himself. Then Google Quitman, Georgia. Google Meigs, Georgia. Google Dawson, Georgia. Google Lumpkin, Georgia. Google Davisboro, Georgia. Google Terrell, Georgia. Google Gordon, Georgia. Just Google. But it seems as if though no one seems to care anymore. Well, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. And I'm going to hope that America's image are not being tarnished because those in governmental positions are ignoring a continual problem here in the state of Georgia, while those we put in power to serve the people in the state of Georgia seemingly just backing up from the issues. But I'm going to continue to say, God took something as small as a peanut. And George Washington Carver made over 101 and 105, and since then, God knows how many uses for the peanut. So we commend the work of this former President Jimmy Carter. Now listen to the rest of the story as we journey down the historic land of the free, home of the brave, here in the state of Georgia. The place where former President Jimmy Carter served this nation and Plains is only a few miles away from Lumpkin, Georgia. Listen what a sitting city council member said about a mayor here in the state of Georgia, not in 1919, not in 1929, not in 1969, but in 2014.
This council person, this is not her first time referring to as black people as niggers.
Wait. Now you talking Miss Councilman Stone.
Councilman Stone. This council person, this is not her first time referring to as black people as niggers.
Wait. Now you talking Miss Councilman Stone.
Councilman Stone. I would like to tell America to take off the blinders. I would like to tell Governor Deal and any of the people up there that we elected, they need to take the blinders off and come and see what's going on in their communities. Enough is enough, and that's it. We're not taking it anymore.
Thank you all so much for coming today. My name is Asosa Osa. I am the Deputy Executive Director at Fair Fight, and I'm joined today by members of the Quitman community, by members of the Quitman 10+2. Georgia has a long history of suppressing the freedom to vote among people of color and marginalized communities. But let's be clear, voter suppression is not some part of some sad and distant past. Under Brian Kemp, first through his role as Secretary of State when he purged over 1 million voters from the roll, and now as governor, as his allies challenged tens of thousands of voters' right to cast a ballot. The voter suppression that is our country is alive and well today.
This council person, this is not her first time referring to as black people as niggers.
Wait. Now you talking Miss Councilman Stone.
Councilman Stone. This council person, this is not her first time referring to as black people as niggers.
Wait. Now you talking Miss Councilman Stone.
Councilman Stone. I would like to tell America to take off the blinders. I would like to tell Governor Deal and any of the people up there that we elected, they need to take the blinders off and come and see what's going on in their communities. Enough is enough, and that's it. We're not taking it anymore. We're not going to take it.
I already know we had problems in other cities. Now, this is more of a reason why the governor and the Secretary of State and the Attorney General needs to be here, if not the federal government,
right?
Because you're dealing with civil rights here. So what else happened other than this incident?
Well, she has made the comment, and people have heard her saying that she grew up calling black people niggers. So there's nothing wrong with that.
This is the little town of Lumpkin, Georgia. I just met with several people here, the mayor, some other citizens, and I just thought I would ride through and do what I do. Because it must be done and somebody must do it.
Georgia has a long history of suppressing the freedom to vote among people of color and marginalized communities. But let's be clear, voter suppression is not some part of some sad and distant past. Under Brian Kemp, first through his role as Secretary of State when he purged over 1 million voters from the roll, and now as governor, as his allies challenged tens of thousands of voters' right to cast a ballot. The voter suppression that is our is alive and well today.
Again, I'm still in Lumpkin. What's your name again, my beautiful brother?
Mayor Charles Gibson.
Mayor Charles Gibson. I came here because I was called here in the same manner that I was called in Meigs, Gordon, Dawson, Davisboro, Warrington, and other cities in the state of Georgia. We have pleaded with the state leaders in Atlanta, along with the actual mayors, about the problem that they are having. And I am hoping that soon and very soon, that we can bring forth the best of our form of government here in the state of Georgia. Once again, Mayor, what is the beauty, the power, what is, short form, what is the thrust behind Lumpkin? What makes Lumpkin tick? Is it industry? Is it the people? Or is it crime?
Making it tick in a positive way right now, I say would be the people. I mean, yes, the people definitely. From researching history, actually, since I grew up here, I was born right over in Richmond, but grew up all here. As I was about 5 years old, if you look around the square, every business was actually open and thriving. So as I became mayor and researching the history of the city, about 105 years ago, the city of Lumpkin was actually growing at a rate that was faster than the city of Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
But at this point, I can say what I found out is throughout the years up until now, the leadership changed. The leadership got destroyed. I guess the leadership lost direction on which way it was heading. So now we're at a stalemate. We're at a stalemate where the only thing that keeps the city going right now is the people. The city, instead of the city supporting the people support the city. We have no real industry here right now. I mean, no real restaurants. Right now, even the grocery store is lacking.
Wow.
So a general store is lacking. So at this point, it's the people that's making Lumpkin tick. My effort is to actually turn that back around to bring stores and industry here to actually let that tick, and then the people can benefit from having those things like it used to be.
What is the population here?
The population is around 1,500 or so.
Okay.
For inside the city.
Okay.
I mean, the county is about 6,000, and a lot of those live right outside of the city.
So how did you get elected? Did you get elected? What the ratio of racial makeup? And let's get into that first.
I would say the city racial makeup majority African American, around 80-something%.
Wow.
African American. As the last time I checked, I want to make sure that stat is correct. You asked about the election time. When I ran for mayor, the previous mayor had resigned for whatever odd reasons. He said it was health. I can beg to differ, but I won't get into that at this point.
Right.
But we had a special election where I ran against two opponents. And to be brief and short about it, there was no runoff.
Okay.
I had 70-some% of the vote.
Okay.
So it wasn't a runoff required.
Okay, so so in the previous mayor was white?
He was.
Are you the first black mayor?
I am.
Okay. Do you think that by you being black, are there any impediments in the city with the operation from your standpoint?
I initially chose try not to think that way, but with evidence coming from other people who have been in this city a while, from staff to residents, saying that, it seems like people are trying to make it harder for you since you're black. So once I started receiving that quite often, then you have no choice but to believe it's because of the skin color.
council. So what do you think about your council in particular? I mean, are they operating in a harmonious relationship? What's the deal on that?
I would say during a meeting, there's not a lot of argumentation between council members to say as such. But I will say that I do have council members that are, how do you want to put it, planning, constructing turmoil outside of the meeting, but asking citizens to come in, get on the agenda to create turmoil or just have an outburst during the meeting. And the reason I say that is because it seems to be the same few people that are actually, I say, have relationship with the council members, that every meeting or every other meeting or so come on the agenda with a concern, but during that concern they get disrespectful. I mean, I had one guy tell me, "Mayor, your day is coming." To me, that's a threat. I had one to tell me, "You're an idiot." Over time, real loud.
Now, this was after the meeting?
During the meeting. Stand up and walk and say, "Mayor, you're an idiot."
Did you get control of the meeting, or did you have to have any type of law enforcement to assist you, or what happened with that?
At that point in time, my chief, Garcia, at this point in time, did get up and follow the gentleman outside because he was walking out when he stated that, and took care of the situation at that point in time. The one time when I was told that your day is coming, I had a different chief on, and this chief did not do anything. I mean, there have been some crowd getting loud where most of the time I could regain control of the meeting. It's not been a point where we could not regain control. But I mean, just those outbursts that are seen to be constructed by some council members with the friends or associates that they have that come to me.
We had problems in other cities. Now, this is more of a reason why the governor and the Secretary of State and the Attorney General needs to be here, if not the federal government, because you're dealing with civil rights here. So, what else happened other than this incident?
Well, she has made the comment, and people have heard her saying that she grew up calling black people niggers. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Georgia has a long history of suppressing the freedom to vote among people of color and marginalized communities. But let's be clear, voter suppression is not some part of some sad and distant past. Under Brian Kemp, first through his role as Secretary of State when he purged over 1 million voters from the roll, and now as governor, as his allies challenged tens of thousands of voters' right to cast a ballot. The voter suppression that has stained our country is alive and well today.
Once again, this is Getto Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhymes, and this is YouTube. I'm still in Lumpkin. I didn't know this was the county seat. But anyway, what's your name, my sister?
Mona Hubbard.
Mona Hubbard?
Mona Hubbard.
Mona Hubbard, okay. I'm sitting here with Mona Hubbard, and she wanted to talk to me. She wanted to highlight some of the things that we can expect here in the city. Mayor Gibson told me that she would be a good citizen to speak, and that's why we're here. Tell me something about the city. Now, first of all, I heard that there's something that happened at the city with a city council member. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yes.
And then the pastor showed me this newspaper and showed me that I think one of the people in there is you.
Yes.
Which one is it? Right.
That's me right there.
Yeah, I thought right there. So in the headlines in the paper for my YouTube watch, it says, local NAACP calls for resignation of council member. Sworn statement alleges councilwoman Debbie Stone called Lumpkin mayor a nigger. You know anything about that?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about the city first, and then maybe you can go into lead up to what happened in the situation. Just tell us. We just need to know. And by the way, tell us everything, because it's not just Lumpkin. It's a lot of cities here in the state of Georgia that has the same problem. Let's talk to us.
Well, first of all, I grew up here in Lumpkin till I was 18. I was born here. I grew up here until I was 18 years old. I came back in 95 at 32. And even the difference between from when I left to when I came back.
You came back from where? Where you went?
Well, I was a military spouse.
Okay, all right, okay.
So I traveled everywhere. So I was, live with different people, all races and nationalities and everything. And it's, coming back home to the United States.
To America,
to America, to see this still going on, it's ridiculous. And even, like I said, I've been here since 95, and this is 2014, and it's just ridiculous. We've had Mayor Gibson, to me is is the best mayor that we've ever had here, and it's not because he's black. It's just he's just a good mayor. When he was a city councilman, if it was something that he didn't understand, he always questioned it. He never just went into a blind vote, and that's one thing I admire about him. That's why I voted for him. They expect for this Mayor Gibson to come in and do something that has never been done. I mean, when the white people that were mayor, because Mayor Gibson is the first black mayor here, and it's like he gets so much grief, and like he's supposed to change the world, pretty much the way they do President Obama.
Right.
It's not like things have not been messed up already, but they expect for the first black man or the black man to come and change the world. We had one mayor that was the mayor and the city attorney called out a conflict, right?
Yeah. Okay.
We had we just hadn't had anybody that was doing anything. And then when companies wanted to come in Lumpkin years ago, they wouldn't allow them. So in the process of not letting anybody come in, when Lumpkin did have something to offer, in the process it has gone down now. So now it's nothing here, and the people still fighting, don't want anything to come here. We have people here that don't even want a library to come. Our kids in Lumpkin don't even have a library.
No library?
No library. And they're fighting with Mayor Gibson because it was a building across. You probably take some pictures of the old Lumpkin drawers. Now, the city council voted to buy this building before they even got a building inspector. I mean, who buys real estate without getting an inspection first? Really? And I asked them about that. Who does that? So Mayor Gibson is trying to put a library down on Martin Luther King Avenue. It was a area where people used to hang around, but Chief Garcia and Mayor Gibson is cleaning up. Now, so it's a nice area, and the area was donated to the city. And it's not only going to be a library, it's going to be a park and where the kids can go play and stuff like that. They don't have anything here. But this council person, this is not her first time referring to as black people as niggas.
Wait. Now you talking this Councilman Stone?
Councilman Stone.
Wow.
If
it's not, excuse me, I got to join you, girl. This
okay.
thing, I mean, I already know we had problems in other cities. Now, this is more of a reason why the governor and the Secretary of State and the Attorney General needs to be here, if not the federal government,
right?
Because you're dealing with civil rights here. So what else happened other than this incident?
Well, she has made the comment, and people have heard her saying that she grew up calling black people niggas. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't. Part of the reason why she's an elected official is because us as black people, some of us did not vote, and of course the majority rules.
Right.
Now that doesn't mean that she's qualified, because she's not. It's a council member that was before her, and it was a black man. He won the majority of the vote. She made a big deal for a recall because they couldn't prove his that he graduated.
Okay.
And pretty much they did that to disqualify him so that she could run. Okay. And she's always trying to stir up trouble.
Well, now, when people say that when they see you talking like you're talking, they're going to say that you are playing the race card. Or that's what they accuse me of. But this is a incident report wherein it documents, and I will put this online, that she did use the word nigger. In here they say N-word, but we're getting now, because seem like we are returning back to the Jim Crow laws. I guess we got to use it the way it is. That's why I guess you spell it out and pronounce it.
I mean, yeah.
And so what you are saying is not playing the card. This is the
that's the fact.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And the thing about that is, the person that reported her was a white guy.
Yes.
You know, I can understand. We just got a new fire chief, and he doesn't know anybody here, so he don't know who's an ally or enemy. So his duty is to report that type of stuff, especially by somebody that's accountable. So he was put in a position. He did the right thing. He wrote a statement. That's a sworn statement.
Do you know that if anybody called the Civil Rights Division or anybody in Atlanta? Because for an elected official to do this, it seemed like that definitely should have generated some type of attention from some kind of higher authority.
Well, I know that our local NAACP has asked for her resignation.
Right. Okay.
And she would not accept the letter.
Okay.
Our Columbus News, it's been on the news a couple of times. She would not accept the letter. Matter of fact, it was on the news yesterday.
Okay.
And they even went by her house to get a statement, but you know, she wasn't available for a statement. And when she first did this and it blew up, she left town for a while. You know, she's been pretty much keeping a low profile.
Okay. As I listen to you speak, it seemed like to me, and I believe me, I've been doing this since that time. It seems like to me that you are very up on what's going on. What makes you get involved in the affairs of your city? What makes you do this?
Well, first of all, I'm the chairman, the acting chairman of the Downtown Development Board. I was second chair, but then the lady that was there resigned. We're trying to get Lumpkin to have some business here because there's nothing here for it. We have to drive 8 miles to go get some grocery.
Right.
You know, and people think that Mayor Gibson has something to do with that. But if you had a company that you want to bring here, and I charge you too much for the property, you're going to go somewhere else. He cannot make anybody put anything here. You know, several people have come and seen the thing, but then with this negative stuff like that, you know, business people are about money.
Right.
They don't care if it comes from a black or white or orange, anybody. It's about green.
Right.
But if they come here and see this division within the town, why would you want to put something here?
Well, the same thing happened, it's being discussed in Gordon. Gordon police was having trouble just to get insurance for the city because of the tension that's in the council meeting itself, and the police, I guess they are worried about the safety of the police officers because it's just a lot of confusion.
Well, Chief Garcia has really came here and cleaned up Lumpkin. When
you say Garcia, is he black?
No, he's not. He's Hispanic.
Hispanic, okay.
Yes. And me personally, I don't personally have too many problems with anybody per se. I'm a point blank person. I don't sugarcoat things. I don't throw rocks and hide my hands. You know, my grandmother taught me if you can have anything you want if you go to work. My grandmother was a school teacher in this county for 42 years. You know, and that's when she was born in the 20s and the 30s when black people really wasn't going to college. My grandmother went and went to college and came back and brought it here and taught generations of kids here. Right. So, to see how it changed from back in the 70s and 80s when I was a kid to 2014, it should be so much better now than it was then. But actually, you know, when I tell my grandbaby about the way, and not even my grandbaby, kids that's in their early 20s or, you know, just getting out how it used to be when I was a kid, they're looking at me like they can't imagine that. And it's really sad in 2014 we still doing the race thing. Well, considering that everything that you just told us and the history about your mom, and for the newspaper to say local NAACP calls for resignation of a council member for using the N-word, as they say, how do you feel about other cities in the state of Georgia that have requested the help of Governor Deal? As you know, probably know, Chris Wright, the mayor of Dawson, was shot. And the mayor over in Gordon, Georgia, been removed by Superior Court Judge Robert S. Reeves, and yet they haven't been. She has not been found guilty. In Meigs, the black female mayor over there, have been arrested twice
have received 2 criminal trespass warnings, been banned from City Hall. Two of her brothers, Edward and Calvin, been arrested, have received 2 criminal trespass on them, according to a former police chief who had been in served 30 years, says for nothing. And so, don't you think, and that's just a few of them,
right?
And you listen to what I just said, then you listen to, or not listen to, but as I listen to you stating to what has happened here, don't you think that the governor or the secretary of state or the attorney general, somebody should come in here and at least look and try to resolve some of these problems, or at least say to the world and to the other cities in Georgia that we concerned?
Yes, that's a major concern, because to me, history is not going to repeat itself, because that would never be allowed. But for the powers that be up in Atlanta, Governor Dillon, they need to take heed. I mean, you cannot know that this is not happening. You know, it's time to put their foot down, because, you know, if I'm in office, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm at least look into it to see what's going on. This is too widespread. This is not just Lumpkin. This is all these small little, you know, small communities that have black mayors there.
Right.
You know.
So say that once again, because I've been saying it, and yet the new Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, NAACP, SCLC, Urban League, G.B.R, which I got the highest respect, supposed to be in Savannah with them Saturday, and others, it seems to me that to carry on the real dream of Dr. King, it seems to me, not only Dr. King, for white right people as well, somebody needs to step up to the plate nationally. Eric Holder, I don't understand why he hasn't jumped on the issue with all the problems that we are having. So I agree with you. So your name once again?
Naya Williams.
What closing remarks will you say what you have for the mayor, Charles Gibson, or in Quitman, James Charles Brown III, in Dawson, Georgia, Christopher Wright, or in Meigs, Georgia, Linda Harris, or in Warrenton, Georgia, George Ivey, or in, I can't think of the rest of them. It's 13 to 14 counties, the people in Hancock County. What would you say to all of these people? What you recommend? I'm not trying to set you up, but what would you say they all possibly need to do in order to connect the dots, where in the news media, including the Atlanta Journal and Constitution, MSNBC, 60 Minutes, 48 Hours, and others, what do you think they need to do in order to collectively report what is going on in it? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, as far as, first of all, let me say this to all you all. Keep doing what you're doing, because there's some people out there like me that will sit there and have your back and not afraid to stand up for what we believe in. As far as the media go, I mean, there's other outlets, as far as people like yourself. I mean, there are other outlets that you can reach out to. I mean, and yes, you have newspapers that are privately owned and that are biased. I mean, so you can't really do anything about that, but start going to the competition. Start dealing with the competition. I mean, after a while, and then the thing is, people fail to realize the same stuff over and over and over again. People tend to start turning a deaf ear to that. So continue to let them do what they're doing, but start reaching out to the competition. I mean, people like yourself and, other newspaper medias, social media, start your own newspaper, start your own news column, start your own newsletter. So it's other ways to go around those situations and, bring out the truth. Because a lot of things are being hid and a lot of things are not being said, just like, for instance, today at this council meeting. It's about personnel. I speculate it is about me, but by me not being able to go in executive session, I can't say it's about me. With that being said, it's just, you know, it's ways around certain things, but you have to start grabbing the resources and doing the research to be able to go around certain things. And after a while, you'll cancel out. I mean, society runs on, you know, on a 360 axis. What goes around comes back around again.
Okay, thank you very much. And so that's what you would say about the news media. Oh, by the way, I work with in the South Georgia as well as Atlanta with a guy by the name of former state president Edward DuBose. You ever heard of Edward DuBose?
Yes, sir.
You ever worked with him?
No, sir, I've never worked.
But you heard of him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Once again, give me that name again.
Naya Williams.
All right. Peace be unto you, Naya. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you. Peace.
God bless you also.
Okay. Don't you think that the governor or the secretary of state or the attorney general, somebody should come in here and at least look and try to resolve some of these problems, or at least say to the world and to the other cities in Georgia that we concerned?
Yes, that's a major concern, because to me, history is not going to repeat itself, because that would never be allowed. But for the powers that be up in the Atlanta government dealing, they need to take heed. I mean, you cannot know that this is not happening. You know, it's time to put their foot down, because, you know, if I'm in office, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm at least look into it to see what's going on. This is too widespread. This is not just Lumpkin. This is all these small little, you know, small communities that have black mayors there. Right. You know. So say that once again, because I've been saying it, and yet the new Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, NAACP, SCLC, Urban League, Getto, which I got the highest respect, supposed to be in Savannah with them Saturday, and others, it seems to me that to carry on the real dream of Dr. King, it seems to me, not only Dr. King, for white right people as well, somebody needs to step up to the plate nationally. Eric Holder, I don't understand why he hasn't jumped on the issue with all the problems that we are having. So I agree with you. So any closing words you want to say before we close this thing out here? I would like to tell America to take off the blinders. I would like to tell Governor Deal and any of the people up there that we elected, they need to take the blinders off and come and see what's going on in their communities. Enough is enough, and that's it. We're not taking it anymore. We're not going to take a sit down. Now, I got to close out on this because you made a statement, and I am a retired military veteran. If you travel, and you say you did, in the military as a spouse, yes. Where did you go? Went to Germany. Stayed in Germany about 6 years. What part? Wolfersheim, Friedberg. My husband was stationed in Kirchgoins. One time, the Rock, they used to call it. My last duty station was Berlin. Wow. Berlin, I bet you got a lot of history there, didn't you? Well, you know, actually, when I went to Berlin, it was when the wall was coming down. Oh, my God. So, I went there with the making of history. I got there when the wall was coming down. So, I'm going to help you sum this up in this way, because as a veteran, this is what I talk about a lot on these YouTube channels, is that don't you think it's kind of a disgrace for a person to serve their country, and in time of war as well, then to return back to a city in the state of Georgia and have to go through what we thought we had mastered in the 50s and 60s? Don't you think it's kind of hurtful? It's appalling. Especially to the retired vet to come home when you fought for, it didn't matter what color. You did your job, what you were sworn to do. And for you to come home and get anything other than open arms, it's a disgrace. It is indeed a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Will you do one other thing for me? Will you take that paper and hold it up front ways to let the people know that what you just said about the N-word, that you are not playing the race card, that this is something that actually happened. And it has been recorded. It's been documented. We have the incident report there. So the people who want to call you playing the race card by the way you just spoke, calling me the race card because I responded to a phone call yesterday afternoon and I'm here today. And over 3 weeks ago, I was called to come here, but I thought, well, it's not that serious. But the call I got last night, it broke the ice, so I'm here. Yes. Thank you so much. Once again, give me your name and what do you do again? Just a plain citizen trying to make change? Plain citizen trying to make change. My name is Mona Hubbard. Okay. I got 2 more questions for you. I just can't close this thing out. Okay. So,
Are you a registered voter?
I'm a registered voter. Been voting since I was 18.
And are you a member of any civil rights organization?
No, I am not.
You're not. But yet, you still fighting for what is right. Am I correct?
Exactly.
Keep it going, sister. I love your courage. And thank you. And you know, for my friends in Canada and New Zealand, I didn't have to beg her to get on the camera. When the mayor, I was out with the mayor, she said, I want to talk about my city. I want to talk about my city. So she went home, in a few minutes she was back. Now you have, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. And Lumpkin County is the what for this? It is
Lumpkin, Stewart. This
and
is
it is the county seat.
And this is the county seat.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you all so much for coming today. My name is Asosa Osa. I am the Deputy Executive Director at Fair Fight, and I'm joined today by members of the Quitman community, by members of the Quitman 10+2. Georgia has a long history of suppressing the freedom to vote among people of color and marginalized communities. But let's be clear, voter suppression is not some part of some sad and distant past. Under Brian Kemp, first through his role as Secretary of State when he purged over 1 million voters from the roll, and now as governor, as his allies challenged tens of thousands of voters' right to cast a ballot. The voter suppression that has stained our is alive and well today.
Because we want someone who loves our children, who want to make a difference in our community. That's right. It's not because we did something wrong. We just want something. We want to change. We want something better for our kids. Because Prince County is made up of black kids. So who is best to go in our school system to teach our children and let them know that you can be somebody. You could be a barber. You could be a doctor. You could be a lawyer. You could be the best that you know how to be. You don't have to go to McDonald's and work. All right. You don't have to go to the city of equipment and then they teachers. You can be the best that you can be. That's right. So why are you all making us feel like we are criminals because we want the best for our children? I'm sorry, y'all, but I get very emotional. I don't want to think about what they did to us. If I don't talk about it, it's like a dream. But when I talk about it, it's reality. I had never been to jail. I had never had handcuffs on my arms. And that hurts. That hurts. People don't realize. They standing by looking at us, but they don't realize how this hurt us. Dogs are going to jail with handcuffs on us. And people think like, people know us. People know who we are. And how you dare them that we are criminals. Yeah. It's hard, y'all. It's hard. It's hard. People looking at you that he did something wrong when you know he did something wrong. I'm sorry. Come on. I thank y'all. I thank y'all for being here with us. I just thank God bless you very much, y'all. Continue to support us, because we really need y'all. We had never anything wrong. All we want to make a difference in our community. That's all we want. That's all we want.
Is a miscarriage of justice in the state of Georgia that cannot be overlooked. The Secretary of State and the Governor have made it very purposeful that they will send the message that if you are African American and if you run for office and if you honestly win the election, you will be punished.
Georgia has a long history of suppressing the freedom to vote among people of color and marginalized communities. But let's be clear, voter suppression is not some part of some sad and distant past. Under Brian Kemp, first through his role as Secretary of State when he purged over 1 million voters from the roll, and now as governor, as his allies challenged tens of thousands of voters' right to cast a ballot. The voter suppression that has been our is alive and well today.